Hi everyone, so I am doing the mid-year book Freakout tag for 2024. So this one here, it's like a yearly tag, when you hit like half of the year, which, June is pretty much half of the year, you talk about like the books that you've read so far, and then you talk about maybe like anticipated books you're looking forward to. So the first question is best book you have read so far this year. So I have 4. I chose 4. These were 5 stars for me. So the first one I would say would be Sweet Like Poison by Julia Wolf. She goes by J. Wolf. So this one here I loved because you have a character of Elena who was pretty much like a bad girl throughout like the other books in these series. This one here had to do with like college. And so in high school, she pretty much was like a bad girl. She was kind of a bully. And so in the university, you see her like grow and change. And I think that's what I appreciated the most about this book, is that you see somebody who made mistakes in the past, is basically trying to like fix those mistakes. And she goes and she meets somebody that just changes her whole world around, her whole perception of like love and everything. And I really love this book. I was actually shocked that I actually finished it, because the first time I tried to read it, I ended up DNFing it. I wasn't in the mood for it. But then when I finally was like, you know what, let me try this again, I freaking loved it. I loved the character of Elena. So that one there was really well done for me. I really enjoyed that one. The next one I would say was a 5-star for me was Lorraine Heath, was As the Earl Desires. I loved this man because the heroine was abused by the former Earl, that it made her very skittish of being with a man again. And so the new Earl, because her husband passed away, the new Earl comes into his title, and so he's living at the estate, and she's basically showing him around and showing him the ropes, so that way she can go and, go on and go find herself like a duke or something like that, because she would do like stuff that was, like charitable work, because she was poor when the Earl had met her, the original Earl. And so with this one here, he used to be a teacher, so he knows what it's like to be a common man. And so for him, it was like getting to know her and like slowly getting her to warm up to him and to where they fell in love. I love this one. I thought it was really well done. You could see like how gentle and how gentle he was toward her, but also how he challenged her. I loved how he challenged her and really got her to kind of open up her eyes to like marrying somebody for love instead of marrying for a title, So I really liked that one. The next one, it was Emma Hamm. This is Whispers of the Deep. I love this one because this is what I would love to see with all romances. When it comes to like hate to love, you need to see that hate, So with the character of Argus hated humans. So when he sees this human in her glass, area, glass dome, he absolutely wants to destroy these people. But the more he gets to know her, after he kidnaps her, the more he gets to know her, the more he falls for her. And you could see like that hate to love build slowly, the more he's around her, the more you could see, so I really liked that one, and that one is definitely like a favorite for this year. And then the last one I would say is a favorite for this year is Homestead. Now this is like the Kindle series. If you haven't read the beginner is The Last Light. That's more of a prequel series that lets you get to know the characters that you'll see like all throughout the series. There are these pair of characters that you see frequently in the series. This one here, though, I think the reason why I like this one is because you have these characters that don't really know each other. Like Jimmy is like, he wants himself like another wife because he had a wife before. But he wants to have himself basically like a woman who can warm his bed, but also help him on his farm. And so with her, Chloe, I can't believe I'm remembering these people's names. For me, it's like I'm so bad with character names. I always forget people's names. So with her, she lost the only family she had. And so it's her trusting this stranger to not hurt her and take advantage of her. And so it's them basically living together, getting to know each other, and forming this relationship to the point of like falling in love with each other, you know? Especially during like these times, it's post-apocalyptic. They're dealing with a lot of stuff. So it's very much of like, you want to go and remain, you know, like hardened, because you don't know if somebody's going to die around you. So you don't want to go and express your feelings at all. But with this here, it's like they had no choice but to express their feelings. The more time they were around each other, like that close proximity, the more they came to like trust and love each other. And yeah, Claire Kent just really did a really good job on that one there. So I really enjoyed that one too. That's definitely a favorite of mine for this year. So the second question is best sequel you've read so far this year. So I'd have to go with these four. So the first one is Real Like Daydreams. Now this one is the book after Sweet Like Poison, I believe. I believe that's what it was. Yeah. And this character, he was injured where he ended up pushing his friend out of the way, and he ended up taking the hit. He got hit by a car, and so it severely damaged him, but it also damaged him up here too, like mentally. He was going through a lot mentally. And so, you know, meeting the heroine and getting to know her, you know, and him forming this, you know, finding this connection with her is what really kind of like woke him up out of that, like, you know, depressive state and not showing he wants to like keep kind of going on with his life and everything. So I really loved how he was kind of like a little bit more of like a grumpy kind of thing. She was more of the sunshine. She brought like lightness to his life. And I really love that. And I love the way the author did this with the characters. So yeah, this one I thought was pretty good. You know, like usually like, you know, sometimes like a second book will end up being a disappointment for me, but sometimes it'll be like, oh wow, I wasn't expecting this, and you know, it's usually pretty good. But yeah, this one here, I really enjoyed. And then you had Sanctuary, which is a part of the Kindle series. And this one here, I really enjoyed too, because you had kind of similar to like a Hate to Love, where these characters get to know each other. They're both kind of like competing with each other for jobs, because that's what it was in this post-apocalyptic time, where they would be like these delivery people. And so he's trying to do some deliveries so that way he can get like, you know, stuff for himself. And then she's trying to be delivery. So they end up coming together and end up getting like snowstormed in this, I think it was like a broken down church. I think it was a broken down church. And so they kind of like form this bond with each other. Again, close proximity is probably like my favorite trope. So them coming together. So I really liked this one, and I liked how it was done, to where the one previous before that, I wasn't a fan of it. This one here, I really liked it. I thought it was done really well. The next one was Jump on 3 by Jay Wolf. This one here is Savage Academy. That's Savage Academy. This is a private high school. And so this one here had it to where the female, the heroine, is autistic. And so she falls for her twin sister's ex-crush. And I just really love this one, because you could see like how devoted and how much like he liked her before, you know. And so he always like had this thing for her, you know, as soon as he saw her, and he just didn't know if like she would ever give him a chance, you know. And so when she finally starts to like warm up to him and get to know him, he's like, you know, he doesn't want to like screw it up, you know. So it was really sweet. I liked how it was done. I really appreciated the autism representation in here, because my youngest daughter, you know, is autistic. So I really appreciated seeing the love story, you know, with this. It was really sweet. I really enjoyed it. And yeah, I really like that one. So the last one I'd say was a good sequel was Song of the Abyss. This is the second book in that series, where the first one is Whispers of the Deep. And this one here I thought was really well done. We have like a battle-scarred hero where he's dealt with like a whole bunch of stuff, losing people close to him, having kind of like this survivor's guilt and like a PTSD kind of thing. And he ends up seeing the human who he's trying to, you know, basically he wants to kidnap her so he can use her against the humans and have it to where they can defeat the humans that are in the sea with, you know, with them. And so the more he spends time with her, the more he gets to know her, and he actually starts to fall for her. And he sees the reason of why his brother, Argus, fell for his human. So I really enjoyed this one. It was a little sadder than the first one, but I still enjoyed it. I like I said, sequels sometimes don't always hold up for me, but I really enjoyed that one. I thought it was really well done. And I have to get the book for that one. I have to get the physical copy because it's so pretty. I love the cover. So number 3 is a new release you haven't read yet from this year, but you want to. I would say, like, I don't normally pick up a lot of traditional books because a lot of traditionally published books don't always hold up good for me. So I wasn't sure about this one, but I was like, you know what? It actually sounds pretty cute. So I ended up getting the Book of the Month version of it. And so it's Ready or Not by Cara Bastone. This actually sounded pretty cute. It's basically like, it starts off with like her finding out she's pregnant. And then I think it's like she develops this relationship. I can't remember the whole synopsis, but she ends up developing this relationship with this guy. It's either the guy who knocked her up or it's like a neighbor or something like that. And so it sounded really cute, and I was like, you know what, I want to check this out. It sounds cute. I'm hoping that it is, you know. I heard good things about it, so I was like, you know what, let me see, you know. Number 4 is most anticipated release for the second half of 2024. I would definitely have 2. So the first one is a part of the Naga Brides. This is book, was it 6? So we have Cottonmouth by Naomi Lucas. I am looking forward to this because I have really, really loved this series. Like when it came out, I love the world building. I love the world building. I love the plots to the story. I'm not always a fan of like the relationship between the couples because sometimes the Naga snakes, the snake hybrids, they're not always the greatest boyfriends. I'll just say that. Like they're kind of a little more dominant, and I'm not really into men who are like super possessive and dominant. It's not really my thing. It all depends on how it's done, you know. And some of the guys I haven't really been a huge fan of, but I do need to reread this series again though. I want to reread it, you know, and see. But I will say, like, I am looking forward to this one here because it just, you know, I've loved the stories. The world building is just so interesting to me and so fascinating to me. And can I say, I love the covers that she has. This cover artist has done all her covers. And this one here is just gorgeous. I freaking think it's so beautiful. I just love the heroine, the way she looks, and the way the snake behind her is kind of like, you know, like protecting her, you know. It just looks so good. I definitely want to check that out when it comes out, but I don't know the exact date. She says like it's like soon, and when I'm like, when is soon? You know. When is soon? When is this gonna be? You know, so I'm definitely looking forward to that one. And then the other one is Beacon by Claire Kent. This is the last book in the Kindle series, but she did say she's going to do a spinoff, and I'm like, yes, yes, because I want her to continue on with this like post-apocalyptic world, because I freaking love this world. I love it. It is Earth, but the way she does it, it's just, it doesn't give off like, it could be really depressing and sad, but it's not. It's, you have this like spark of hope in every one of these books that these characters are going to be okay, you know? And that's what I like to see. So this one here, it's like the last one with, oh, what's his name? Mac. And Mac's been out throughout the whole series. And he's been like throughout like the whole series, basically helping people, going from like town to town and doing whatever he can. And so this time it looks like he may need a little bit of help, you know? He's dealing with something, like last book kind of like really did something to kind of like mentally change him a bit. And so he decided to go off kind of like on his own a little bit, just to have some time for himself. And so I really am looking forward to this one here. I want to see like how the author finishes up this one here, you know, because I'm like, he needs his happily ever after. He's been kind of like pining away for this woman for a while, and so I'm like, he needs to have his happily ever after too. So yeah, that one there, I'm like, I'm looking forward to. It's just, it's really good. I'm like, I really enjoyed this series, you know, with the exception of like 2 of them that I wasn't really a huge fan of, but this whole series is just, I'm such a fan of this. I'm such a fan of like the post-apocalyptic. I love post-apocalyptic. It has to be done right, you know? So this one here, I just really have enjoyed a lot. So I'm looking forward to that one for sure. Okay. Biggest disappointment this year. Oh. Okay. I'm going to put a few up. Biggest disappointments. So, Till All the Seas Run Dry. This is the second book in this series. Where the first book was Soft Flannel Hank. I fucking loved Soft Flannel Hank. It was such a good story. I loved Hank. He was such a butterball, such a cinnamon roll. Freaking loved him. I just wanted him to have like a happily ever after, because he was so emotional, like so like just you could feel his feelings, you know, you could feel how deeply he felt for the heroine, you know, and I was just like, I want to hug you, Hank. I want to hug you and protect you. You know, you're like a big teddy bear. I want to protect this man. And he wasn't like somebody that was like all fit. He had like a little softness to him, you know, hence why the Soft Flannel Hank, you know. So I really enjoyed that one. Okay, so the next one, When She's Coming. I am not always a fan of Ruby Dixon's serials. They can be too friggin' long. And I'm just like, lady, why? This one here, it was like, it was so dang long. It was so long. There were things in the story that I just didn't care for. And I ended up DNFing it. It's the same thing with like Till All the Seas Ran Dry. I really tried to finish that one, and I basically skimmed the rest of it. So I just basically marked it as a DNF, because I'm not going to go and say I read it when I didn't finish it. But I'll just say, like, it really just, those books were just so disappointing to me. And then this one here, this video is obviously going to post before my wrap up for June. So anybody who was like, you know, wanting to know what I thought of Leather and Lark, this was disappointing for me. I DNF'd this. I got about 50% and I was like, I don't give a fuck. I'm done. It was so boring. It was so fucking boring. Part of the plot just didn't make any sense. Like, there was a third point of view in this book, which I was like, why? Why was there a third POV in this fucking book? You had this guy who's obviously more of a, you know, like those religious extremists, which I don't always like reading in books, okay? I understand that there are religious extremists. When you look at any religion, I'm not going to mention the religions, I'll just say, if you look at any religion, there's always somebody in that religion who takes it to the fucking extreme, okay? So, I didn't like that POV. Didn't give a shit. Why is that there? Then you had Lark, who's the heroine. Could not fucking stand her. Could not stand her at all. I don't know why she has such a fucking chip on her shoulder when she was raised with wealth. She was raised in this family. So why the fuck do you have such a chip on your shoulder? And then the character of Lachlan, where he finds out she's a serial killer, you know, she's a serial killer, and he's like, why are you a serial killer? When his own fucking brother's a serial killer. Okay? This is a family of serial killers. He's a contract killer. So you're all of a sudden, like, shocked that she's killing people? She's friends with Sloane. So yeah, that didn't make any sense to me. I'm like, why would you have a problem with it? You kill people. You know, your brother kills people. The only one so far we know that doesn't kill people is Fion. I think his name is Fion or Fion. But who knows? The third book could have it to where he's secretly killing people and his brothers don't know. But I'm like, this is a whole bunch of group of serial killers, a bunch of people who kill people, you know? So why would you be upset about that? So it just got to the point where I was just like, I don't fucking care because I don't like this character. She's kind of like pushing him away. And I'm like, look, I realize that you have like issues with him, but why don't you just, I don't know, sit down and fucking talk to him about it and explain your reasonings of why you don't like him, why you're infuriated with him, the things that he did to you, you know, before and all that stuff. Why don't you fucking, I don't know, communicate with each other? So I really got annoyed with it to the point of like, I'm done. I'm done. And there was another person who I trust with their reviews, and they gave it a 3, and I'm like, ooh, if they gave it a 3, crap. So when I delved into it, I was like, you know what? I'm like, this is boring. I'm like, some of this stuff just doesn't make sense to me, plot-wise. Some of it's like really fucking boring. Where like with the first book, you know, with Butcher and Blackburn, that one there was interesting because they made it into a competition, and they both like were feeling each other. You know, they both were feeling each other. It didn't feel boring for me. There was, I'd say, like a small little part of it that it got like slowed down in pace for me, but otherwise it picked back up again, and I was like, man, this was good. I really enjoyed this one. This one here was fucking boring. It was just, I just got to the point where I was like, no, I'm done. I can't keep going with this book. It's just like, this is so boring. So I just had to basically just skim the rest of it. So, biggest surprise this year. Okay, I would have to say it would be Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldree. I am not really into fantasy. I've been trying to open myself up to my, you know, to more horizons of reading a little bit more fantasy, trying to like get outside my zone of like, you know, reading romance all the time. So I decided to pick this up because somebody said it was like a cozy fantasy, and I'm like, it totally is a cozy fantasy. There's really no high stakes in this, like when it comes to like, you don't have to worry about a whole bunch of character deaths and things like that. And that's the only thing that, like with fantasy, it's like, oh my god, I want to delve into it, and I'm like, oh, I like this character, and I'm like, well, dead. And I'm like I'm like, no, I want the character to die. I like the character. So this one here very much has that low stakes of like, you don't have to worry about any character deaths in here. There's like a slight little sliver of a romance in it between the characters. And I just really loved seeing this, like, they almost became like this found family with each other. They form these bonds, and I loved seeing it, you know, with all of these little creatures, and you've got like the orc and everything, and her learning the ropes of like running this coffee shop, and all the little cast of characters that kind of like come and go throughout the day. And I really liked it. It was a really really like relaxing read to me, you know, where I'm just sitting there like doing like my chores and stuff like that around my apartment, and I'm just like, wow, this is like a cozy little, you know, it's like a warm cup of tea, you know, you're sitting there just like relaxing, and you know, you're just mellowing out with drinking like this really good cup of tea, or maybe a really good cup of coffee, or whatever it is, you know. And so I really enjoyed this one. And I wasn't really interested in reading like the prequel, because I'm like, well, I could have read the prequel before I read this. So I'm like, I'm okay with like skipping over the prequel. But I really would love to see like another book in this series, because I really enjoyed this one. It was definitely a surprise to me. I was not really thinking I was going to like it. I'm like, well, let me delve in and see. I'm a little, you know, I did listen to the audiobook, so that helped. And the author, Travis Baldree, he actually does voiceover work as well. And so he did the voiceover for, you know, the characters. I thought he did a really well job. You know, he did a really good job. And so that one there, I would say, like, I was really shocked at. You know, I was like, wow, this is actually pretty good. I actually enjoyed myself, you know. So it says favorite new author. I would have to go with Emma Hamm. I mean, I read 2 books this year by her, and I really enjoyed them. I thought the world building was really well done. So I'd say Emma Hamm probably is definitely a a favorite of mine that I've read this year. It says newest fictional crush. I don't really have a fictional crush, you know. I wouldn't say I have any fictional crushes with any of these books. I'm not sure. Who would I say would be a fictional crush? Well, maybe I'd do the hero on Jump on 3. I really enjoyed him. I can't remember his name, but he was such a sweetheart to her. So I'd say he's probably, you know, I'd probably say I'd like him. It says newest favorite character. I would have to go with Elena from Sweet Like Poison. I loved her character. You know, I thought she did really well at like the way she evolved as a person and changed how she was and made herself like a better person. So I really appreciated that. You know, like I love to see when a character grows and matures and realizes the stuff they did in their past was really stupid, and so they try to make themselves a better person by working on themselves. I love to see that. I love to see character growth. I hate when I see a character that is too stubborn and stupid to change, and I want to jump through the fucking book and punch him in the face. So I really appreciate a character where I see like they see that they did wrong, and they're like, okay, what can I do to fix things, make things better? Or if I can't make them better, what can I do to learn from that experience, you know? Because just because you did wrong with somebody and, you know, maybe you apologize to them, they don't have to accept your apology, you know? That's the thing about apologies. They don't have to accept it. You can give your apology, but doesn't mean they have to accept that. And that's something you have to accept when you make mistakes. So that's the thing I like about a good character growth, is that they're like, okay, I realize you're not going to forgive me. That's okay. I'm going to go and do whatever I can to kind of like show that I have changed, you know, as a character. So that's what I always appreciate. So it's a book that made you cry this year. I would say like any of the Claire Kent ones, there's usually like a time where maybe I tear up a little bit, like maybe a character died, like at the beginning or something like that. Maybe like one of the characters died, like in Homestead, you know, her grandfather had passed away like at the beginning of the book, and that was sad. You know, I say maybe I sprang a tear for that character, even though I didn't really know him that much. But still, it's like you kind of think about your own family, you know, your own family passing away. Like, you know, I can think about my grandmother, and every time I do, I kind of like get a little choked up and stuff like that, because remembering, you know, the times that I spent with my grandmother. And, you know, even though she she could be a nasty witch sometimes, I still like, there are times I wish that she was still here, where I can talk to her and, you know, stuff like that, and hang out with her and see how she would have been like with my with my children, you know, how she would have been as like a great grandmother, you know. So that's what I kind of think about. So I'd say for me, it's like when I look at like any old person that dies that had some kind of like, had any kind of like, you know, help to change the character or be around the character, you know, that's always sad. Or if when you hear about like maybe a child dying or something like that in the book, that upsets me, you know, like that'll make me upset, you know. So anything like that will make me cry. So I'd say like there was probably I'd say at least a few books this year that obviously made me cry, but I can't, you know, specifically name like just one book, you know. I do tend to get a little emotional with like usually any book. So it says a book that made you happy this year. I mean, I'd say any of my 5 stars pretty much made me happy, and that's why I ended up giving them a 5-star, you know. Any of those, you know, made me happy. And let me see, it says number 12, the most beautiful book you've bought or received so far this year. So this one I bought this year. After I went and read the book, of course, I wanted to pick up the physical version of it, because that's what I usually do when I read something on Kindle Unlimited, and if I really love the book, I want to go and purchase the physical copy. So I ended up picking up Emma Hamm's Whispers of the Deep, and this one here is just beautiful. I love this one. It's so pretty, the way the artist, the characters, and the way like his like part of his like fins and stuff like that, you know, kind of flares out, you know, and you could see like, because when his stuff kind of flares out, he's having some kind of like emotion. And so you could see right there, like he's looking down at her, so he obviously is feeling something, you know. And so I really loved how the artwork was done in here. Even like, you know, when it came to like the back too, you could see like the little glass area where obviously she was staying in, where you obviously see how it gives you a little bit of the light coming down, the sunlight, but she's still down in the water to the point of like, you know, he can come up through the area and visit her and stuff. So I really liked that right there. And then you have like the inside cover has this that's so pretty. I just love that. I wish this was a little bit lighter. I'll just say that when it got printed, I wish it was a little bit lighter. But that's like on the inside covers. And then on every chapter, you have like this artwork that is so pretty. I just love that. And you see like how long his tail is. And I'm just like, I love the creativity of this of the artist, you know. And this is something like if you're gonna go and do an illustrated cover, this is what I want to see with an illustrated cover. I want to see the beauty of the artist through this cover. And yeah, this stuff's gonna cost money, but to me it's like, just pay for the artist, because eventually you will go and have returns on those, you know. Eventually you'll see returns. You may not see the returns right away, but you eventually will. And then it's not AI, you know, which I don't like. I don't like AI art. So yeah, for me, I really thought this was really pretty. I like the way the artist, you know, did the art. And so yeah, that's a book. Like I said, I do want to get the second one, and the second one's really pretty too, so I definitely want to get that one when that's available. I tried to buy it, but it was like, you know, it was sold out on Amazon. I'm like, fuckers. Like, damn it, I want this cover. I want the cover. I want that book. I'm gonna have to check again, see if maybe they have any in stock again. But as soon as it gets in stock, I need to order it and get it, because it's so pretty. It's so pretty. The way the artist created these characters, it's like I totally see it in my head, you know? So the last one is, what do you need to read by the end of the year? Did I pick anything? Did I pick anything for the end of the year? Oh yeah, this one here looked interesting to me. This is called Citrus Cove, book 1 by Broken Beginnings, Cleo Evans. I did read Cleo Evans before, and I do like that author. So I wanted to see this one because it looked a little different from like some of the other stuff that they write. They write a lot of like more alien and monster type romances and stuff like that, so it looked interesting, and I was like, oh, is it like a cowboy romance based on like the cover and stuff? So it looked different, you know, so I was like, okay, this looks different, so I wanted to check that out and see if that's any good. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this video here. I'm sure there's other books probably that are going to come out this year that I'm probably looking forward to. But, you know, I don't know. And then, like, I don't know about any other ones that are, you know, that I really want to read this year. It kind of, like, pops up every month. Every month I'm always like, oh, let me check this out. Especially because it's like, you know, I read a lot of indie, and sometimes I don't know when something's coming out. Sometimes I don't know when a book is coming out, so I have to go and check to see, and I'm like, oh, this came out. Okay, let me check this out. So yeah, that's it for this video here. I'm going to leave the questions down below, so if anybody wants to do this tag, also please, if you do this tag, please leave your questions down below. I find how many of these videos every year, and nobody fucking puts the questions down in the goddamn description. So please put down the questions in the description so other people can do this tag too. I don't know who the original person was, otherwise I would tag them. I don't know. So I would say if you do decide to do this tag and you want to tag me, that is fine. Tag me down below and I can go and watch your video. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this. So have yourselves a good day. Take care of yourselves. Be kind to each other. And I'll see you all on the next video. All right. Bye.